Okay, so now we're going to go to the last part. And one of the things I do is after I encode each video, I do watch it to make sure everything, kind of went smoothly, and to keep track of where I'm at so I don't start skipping out all over the place. And I do notice some things that I may neglect to mention or miss, and the only thing here is I forgot to mention that I do still have to do this thumb guard here, this protrusion, and I can't tell if it dips in there from this angle here, but it very well could be dipping in a little bit, and this comes out to give your thumb a rest. There's also a pin that goes in the front here, right there. I can't really exactly tell if in this version there is a pin, but I know most guns do have one, maybe not all, I'm not an expert, but I'm going to add one anyway, and I'm not going to stick it out too far, and I'm not going to worry about it too much. So let me... Oh, and I also got this channel cut that needs to happen about right here. So let me hide unselected, and I think the best way to approach this is just to connect this with two segments and hit OK, and just have one of my loops here be constrained to edge and make it planar X. Okay, I get this guy too, make that planar in the X, and I'm just going to go by verts here, it's easier to grab, and I'm going to bring them together like that. And then what I'm going to do is just delete these. Yep, I deselected something, so I'm no longer zooming around it. And I can pretty much just extrude this back. And just want to go too far, so I'm actually going to extrude it out. No, and then I'll move it up. Yeah, that's a better practice. I'm still on edge here. Could be why I'm having issues. I'm just going to give myself a little distance, and then use my optimize. And actually, for this case, I'm going to use old school target weld, which is right here. So I just click one, it gives me a little rubber band, and then click the other, and it's not letting me do it for some weird reason or reason. Also, need to get rid of this edge, this face, sorry. Now let me see if my target weld will work. And it does. It wouldn't do it because it was already on an edge. There's my channel cut, which goes exactly to this border here where it starts to dip in. Okay, so right here is razor sharp. Let me unhide by name, get my reference plane. Okay, and look at my side view and make this see-through, and stream by edge, and now I can just basically... Okay, it's not letting me go too far, so I'll just do one side at a time. Okay. It's not letting this move past the edge, and unfortunately, if I don't do it by edge, and I go too close here, you can see it's exaggerated. I'm actually at a bit of a dip, which doesn't look too bad, though I'm now got an over curve here. So really, I made a mistake, and I need to undo again. Love my mistakes. Okay, I'm just going to get back to this position here. then unhide by name my plane. Make it see-through, and look at the front view. And now I should be able to cleanly move it back. The reason that this one stops here is because it detects where the edges are before you start moving and remembers them. So it's not going to let me go past that point because it saw, well, there was a vert there. The edge terminates. However, now I can at least move it without breaking my line flow going here. Let me go to perspective view and make it solid again, and now I can do this extrude really easy. So let's delete that sucker, click that and hit Z, say extrude and hit OK, come off a edge, move it up, and then get rid of these two, hit 1 and go to target weld. Okay, look at this side. And now my channel's not only done, but it's in the right spot. Okay. It looks like it's actually at a bit of an outward angle. So if I constrain by edge, and I set this to scale from the center, give myself that little bit of a outward angle there. Okay, and just for the sake of having a little bit of more interesting shape going on here, this is perfectly flat down the side here, zoink, like that. I'm actually gonna angle it in just a little, like that. There's a bit of a cut. It almost looks like that's what's going on here, which is a little hard to detect. You have to know shading. The brightness of this seems brighter than this, which would mean that this is at a different angle than this. If this was perfectly flat, technically, and the same material, they should be the same tone. And with these dark things going on here, I could be seeing an optical illusion. I have to Photoshop them together. But for the most part, it looks like this is actually dipping in the way I did it here, and I did it very slight. Okay, now let's attack the thumb guard, which can actually be a little bit of a challenge. We'll see what we get. The basic form is that, which is ugly. So let me go to my front view and Alt X, and I can't exactly see where that is, so if I move this out of the way, hold my mouse right here and then undo, you can see it's actually right in between these two. So I'm gonna bring that down a little bit, and then I'm gonna try and see what I can do about making it a little curvy. Okay. Now, what I am going to do, so I can terminate it a little earlier, let me put this back in the same position, which is quickly and easily done by just pasting that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead, like I said a couple of times, and connect that together and connect it there. Luckily these are all on the flat, so I can kind of pretty much take a point and move it anywhere. It's not gonna, until I breach over edges, it's not gonna fully change the shape or really change the shape of the gun at all, because it's on a flat surface. so it'll be a little less noticeable. So what I can do is I can take these guys and just move them in a little bit, and this one, being on the flat, I can move it down in the vertical and try to see. See, I got kind of a bit of a roundish thing going on here. Now, it might be a good idea, considering I'm still 1,500 or so below budget, and I don't think the mag's going to take more than a 500-600 at the most, is ring this, which goes around the gun like that. I don't really need the other side. Thumb guard's only on one side, I think. It might be on the other side, if this is an ambidextrous weapon. And I can pretty much just take that and connect it. And again, constraining by edge, and make it planar in the X. Try to angle that a little bit, and then just try straight up make planar, which didn't like that at all. That's awful. I don't have enough space. I hit one side or the other here, so I can't exactly do this automatically, which means I've got to, should have 3 here. Make that planar in the X. Should have 4. No, 5. I should have 5. Make that planar in the X. And that's going to give me the ability to curve this some. Which actually, instead of doing that, I want to move these up, because I already hit my mark. I'm going to have to do a little bit of flow management after the fact. Once again, I don't want you to go to that edge. Okay. Now I can bring this out just a little. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually tell my edges which way to go. By cutting. And also want to make sure that it goes that way. And now, if I try to hit it with a chamfer, bring it a little closer, give it 2 segments. You can see it's actually dipping out and then in. So just going to go ahead and hit that, and let me, before I do anything else, just clean this up to these points here, the ones I want to keep. So just bring these guys in. That guy, and it needs to go that way, okay. And go that way, so the details there. Which means if I want to keep that symmetrical, I want to get rid of these and actually go that way. Just go back by edge here so I don't break that curve. Okay. And these 3 are out a little bit more, as these guys kind of 3, and then I should end up with 6. And the reason I'm counting is because I want to make sure I don't get anything back here. These guys probably come in a little bit more like that. Now this is very generic. I need to check my edge flow. You see I got a little bit of a box of dark going right here, and really being quads down here, there's not a ton I can do. I can attempt a turn like that. That helps it a little bit, but it's still there. However, there's not an awful lot I can do about it. It is flat still. This is flat. Okay, I got a little bit of a smiley bottom lip going on there, which is roughly what I got going on there. This is roughly flat. I could take a stab at, just going to get rid of these guys real quick, blending this. I'm going to get rid of these guys temporarily. Well, I don't think it'll let me get, no, it did. Okay. I could take a bit of a stab at smoothing that curve out, which means I'm going to have to fix this madness. There's a lot of ugly stuff going on there. If I just go 2 segments, it'll be a little bit easier to clean. Let's see what happens if I add these guys. I'll help it blend a little bit more, and I can quite easily fix the noise that's left over. So just do that real quick. Hold shift and get these guys in line. Hold control to get these guys in line. And then I can pretty much probably good idea to let it go to a point like that, so it's a full-blown termination. Just bring all that to a point, bring all that to a point. Then I can connect here, here, and here. That's not too bad. If I take this and connect it, then I can go around that way. If I connect it one more time, then I can extend this, but I don't really need that. It's not hurting anything too badly. I could also connect, see, so check the other side. Let me hide unselected here so I can get a little farther away and see what's going on. I need to connect that guy. This does have the grip part on it. Still, the bumpy rubber grip. I could still technically connect that, round it out more, but before I do that grab, let me see. Maybe I can actually blow connect that. I don't know what it's really going to try to do. Make sure this Y position, which is 779, 75, 75, so it brought it in, so just put that back in line. These are all 75s. Okay, we get this guy. And flow connect that. That's the problem with flow connect. It wants to keep a flow, so it tries to Tries to curve your stuff for you. Okay, so that's a little more curvy. Now let me take these here and try set flow. You can see it does a better job centering everything and maintaining a better curve, and I'll do the same with that one, set flow. You can see it rounded that out nice. I do have an extra segment here which can be pretty easily tied up to there without looking too bad, I don't think. We'll have to check again and see our lighting. It's not overly broken. You can see this point could be moved in line a little bit better to help this overall curve going up the whole thing. And let's just take a look at the reference on hide by name. Get my plane. Get see through. Look through the front. Now very temporarily, I'm just going to delete the whole object. Boom. Kind of get my eyeball accustomed to looking right here and then undo. So I'm a little off, but I'm not terribly off. Believe that the whole shebang. Let's look at the top view here and get rid of anything that got picked on the back and go back to this view. I believe the whole thing kinda is like right there. So now I need to put it, after putting it in the right position, now I need to go back and kind of refix my flow, which is not going to be too hard. Again, this is on the flat. The curve doesn't start until here. In fact, it doesn't even start until one after. It doesn't start until this ring here. So any little inconsistencies I may have, like here or here, it's not going to be so noticeable. In fact, probably not at all. So I have some room to even things out and shift them out and kind of fix the supporting curves a little bit. And really, that's not too bad. I don't mind that much at all. It's very there. You can see the lighting issues slightly, but there isn't much I can do about that unless I split this way, which could help support some curve here. I'll wait on that. I'm going to keep it in mind. I might forget, but I'll probably remember it when I come back to watch the video again. And, see if this needs to be fixed after I hit the mag, which is what I'm going to hit next. Actually, let me get that rod on the front of the gun that's here, and that's going to be very easy to make. I'm going to use a cylinder. However, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a shortcut and use a chamfered cylinder, which is basically just making a cylinder and then chamfering it for me. I'm going to rotate it 90 this way, then hit Alt A and just go center to center. Then I can move it forward and down some. Now I can mess with my radius and Actually gonna move it to there. Now I can bring my height down. Now with that tiny radius, the fillet got a little screwed. So I don't want to dip in any farther than I have to, which is about there. Actually one more back. And I don't need a lot of height, because I don't want it poking out too far. Okay. I do want it to be... Let me take a look at the ref pick. It's pretty centered in the center of the center. However, that's that model, and if I do that, I end up being up in here. So I'm just gonna move it down a little bit and keep it like that, because like I said, I'm not sure that this one even has it. I'd have to go and do another Google image search on Glocks, and the reason I don't want to do that is because the last time I did that, the very last time I did that, I got a virus. A very, very nasty piece of malware that brought me down for at least a day. I'm just going to bulge that out. So I'm all nervous about going to Google search now, because it's getting me all paranoid. And now I don't need these back faces, so I'm just going to do a quick selection and then a minus selection, delete that. Like I said, I'm really not even sure if this model has it. However, the reason I am doing it is because it just adds a little bit of extra flair to the front. Little 3 circles going on, 1, 2, and 3. And it's not as if I can't just, delete it. Some expert gun manufacturer comes up and says, you're misrepresenting this gun. My first response will be, okay, well I can take that out easy, but this is not a Glock. This gun is a Croc. That's going to be the brand. However, when I go to paint it, I'm going to keep the brand out. Let you guys pick whatever you want, or nothing. Alright, it's magazine time. So let me just detach it, which is here, and I'll just call it mag. Select it, hide unselected. Okay. Now, knowing from the reference picks that I've seen a lot, I got some decent rounding going on here. The best representation I have is this pick here. Okay. It's very curved, practically to match this curve here. And then it's got a slight bit of curve going around the top and the bottom, and then there's some kind of little bit of a curve there. That curve is also matched here. Okay, and then there's a slight bit of curve in the back just to pick up edge highlights, and then we've got this whatever's going on up here. So that's not that difficult really at all. So the first order of business is to get these 2 edges out of here, and then I'm going to get all this at once. Hit my chamfer. Give myself 3 segments. Let me unhide my grip. That way I kind of better match the distance of this curve, which looks like it's a little bit bigger than that. However, if I go too far, you can see I end up with like an actual circle, and I don't believe that it is like that. It's actually tighter than here, or I messed this one up, one or the other. Either way, this is not as sharp, and I'm going to give it 4. So it's quite curved. Okay, now I can hide everything else. You can see the spacing here is pretty nice and even. Even. Okay, that's good. And now, should be able to loop that. No, you piece of grip. I'm just going to make a selection like this and get rid of that. and get rid of this inside stuff. Okay. Then I'm going to get the bottom just by dragging across it. And actually, I'm going to get these sides. And actually, I'm going to get these sides too, which are probably going to break due to these. So I might need to do a little managing before I'm able to pull this off. We'll see what happens. Chamfer. Obviously too far is too far. And yes, it's not liking it because you can see that this triangle's flat. Curved here, flat here. And I believe the reason for that is these jerks here. Now it's not going to let me get rid of all of them because I need one, so temporarily gonna swap that over to there, which means now I get to have the pleasure of picking all these again, which is not too horrible. Okay. And then these two. It's probably going to fail here. It's going to fail somewhere. Might as well let it be up here. Didn't even fail there. So now I'm going to tighten that chamfer. And I think I'm only going to use one segment because I don't really need it to be all crazy. Let me see what's going on up here. You can see clean up here. So now I've got something to pick up some edge highlights. Like there's an edge highlight right there. You see that light streak? So we're picking up the camera. Flash. Okay. Doesn't look like it's much deeper than that. If I wanted to, I could go to make it a lot more curved. However, let's look 3640. Oh wait, no, I'm at 92. It's not going to show it until I hit OK, so I brought it to 236. The good news is if, say, I did this and I go, okay, well I like that, but then later on I go, oh, I have got to get this out of here. I should be able to loop and then just hit Control and Backspace and it's gone. So it's easy, like I said, to get rid of detail. It's much harder to add it. And not that it's hard to do the modeling for adding the detail, but it's a little bit difficult to maintain good UVs if you've already done the UVs on a low-res model. It's much more, much easier to UV a high-res model and then bring it down in the exact same fashion that it's easier to take a high-res Photoshop picture and bring it to low-res than it is to take a low-res Photoshop picture and bring it to high-res, which is actually next to impossible. All those movies where they, can you increase the resolution on that? And then they sharpen it and all of a sudden it's like a perfect photo. It's Hollywood magic. Alright, I'm not going to do anything up here yet. Just want to verify that everything is good here. Which, so far, I'm happy with it. It's smoothing across, but that's okay. I just got to edit smoothing groups. This looks nice and smooth, so I gotta go eat real quick. I'm gonna pause it and I'll be right back. Okay, back to it. Base everything looks good. It's pretty simple. Now I wanna make what's going on the top. So I'm just gonna inset this guy. Walls are quite thin on a mag. I'll keep it about there, it's fine. You can see I got some nastiness happening here. That's okay. I can just weld that together with a bigger tolerance. And hit weld there. Just to be sure, let's make this planar in the Y, which it wasn't. Okay. We'll make this planar in the X, just to be sure. Now what I can do is I can take this and extrude it down. Just boom. And then look at my side view and move it until the lines are parallel here. Okay, looks good. Don't need to go down too far. Now let's take a peek. You see, starting around just behind the back of the curve, I get this dip going down, which means if I ring this guy and connect it with one segment, make sure I'm on edge, move it, look at my wired solid view, get rid of that box. Okay, so move it just behind that there, and now I can take these points minus these guys under here. Okay, keep on edge and move that down. You can also see that it kind of dips in there, so let's try to do that. What I don't know is if the back does that too. I can check though, because mags are relatively universal, so I'm going to pause the video really fast and I'm going to pull out an actual magazine and take a look at it real quick. Okay, unfortunately I can't show you this reference because it's sitting here on my desk, but this mag is actually pretty different than what's going on here. However, the few things that I can tell are that this just dips it on the side. So, a quick and easy way to do that would be to take these segments going around minus what's going on in here, for now, and to connect that, keep edge here, make it planar in the Z so it's flat, which it was, and I'm just going to move this up to be in line with that. Actually, I'm going to move it up to about there, and then connect here, and I'm also going to do the inside, connect, and looking at the side view, just going to match that height, zoom in pretty close and get that close as I can. Okay, back to perspective, and I'm going to tie that there. I actually also need to do these guys, now that I think about it. Okay, and now I should be able to, oops, just take that, don't want to be on edge, and bring that in some. Okay. And that's really about all I need to do. There's some other weird dips and cuts and grooves and things like that that I just don't really see as being helpful. Let me increase my channel depth here a little bit, and then move it so it's back to parallel. Okay. Because I mean, I got like little cuts and weird things going on here. Now, if I wanted to move this back up, easy, I can just, but I can't go down farther because it freaks. Okay. So far, so good. Looks okay. Again, like I said, I'm not going crazy, but it is going to look like a mag. Now, what I want to do is actually make myself a bullet, which is going to be very easy. And this bullet will not actually be to spec of a .45 caliber bullet. However, and the reason is because I'm frightened about going to look for reference pictures right now. I am actually can probably get a general idea just by looking at one without using calipers or anything. But in essence, actually, if it's an extended pyramid, if I start with a capsule, I'm actually slightly bullet shaped already. Of course, this looks like the red pill, but what I can do is just cut the bottom off and then cap it. Okay, and then I can take these and scale them that way. You can see I get a pretty good bullet there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me undo to see how many segments I had going around. 12, which is reasonable. It's 280 polys. If I go 10, it's still reasonable. Gives me roughly 200. I'm going to have a little bit more than that, so I'll go 10 segments around on the bullet. If I wanted to add more, very, very simple. I can just take all these and ring them, and then come here and do a flow connect. You see, I doubled it. Okay, so adding detail to this is easy. So let me cap this bottom just by using my border and hitting cap. Okay. Now I want to start cutting in a couple of segments here. So I'm going to connect 2 here. And I'm just going to scale them together. Bring that down. And then I'm going to extrude that in. Okay, I'm just start at 0. Oops, I think I did something funny. Extrude. Oh, it's because I'm extruding edges. Okay, good. So, extrude this 0, and then just start ticking it in, and you'll see that it just shifts it over to the side, and that's because I'm on group. If I change this to local normal, now it extrudes in, and I'm just going to try like -0.1, -0.1, nope, -0.1, and then I can go and increment a little bit more to make that channel. then I can scale that down like that. Okay. Can take all of these here and extrude those in the same, and then my shell thickness, this is going to assume it's about that. And then actually before I do that, let me get more of a bullet shape, and then I can extrude, and now I can come out a little bit. Okay, there's your bullet. You can texture the primer. Easy enough. It's relatively flat there. Just texture it silver and put a little logo going around it if we wanted to. And the good thing is we're going to account for two things here. One being a bullet that has not been fired yet, and two being a shell that has been fired. Okay, you can see I need to scale it up to fit. It's just going to be just a little bit bigger. Okay, and then it doesn't want to poke out so much. It should actually come a little back behind. Now if I wanted to do like a hollow point, just be a matter of pulling that in. Okay, I'm actually looking at a hollow point right now, and just pulls in. If I was really trying to be a stickler, I would chamfer this, give myself that bit of a rounded rim. I'm going to go ahead with it. See, I have a 238 poly bullet going on here. And just to explain real quick what I'm going to do, when the mag drops out, I'm going to give the bullet its own bone, so it's going to have its own animation. When I go to drop the mag out, I'm actually going to shift the bullet inside here, like that, and the mag will look empty when it drops out. And then when I pull this off of the camera, pull that bone back up, and when he puts it back in, it'll look like he's put a new mag in. So one bullet looks like the whole brand new mag. Now that I've got my shape here, let me really quick reset the X form on this because I did scale it. Okay, it's perfectly straight. And let me just center the pivot. Okay, so now I could spin the bullet that way nicely. Let me make my shell, which I'm probably going to want to do after anyway, and the shell is pretty easy. You just really delete the bullet, and then what I can do is cap, and then extrude that back. Oops. I'm going to be on my face here. You just extrude that back to about there. I don't want to go too far. To about there. If I wanted to go a little farther, I could always just kind of scale it down and nobody would notice that at all. Okay, so 150. See, we're at pretty much 4,300. Okay. Doesn't exactly correct. I could also give myself a bit of a flap, which I've seen mags with this. Don't want to be on edge. Which would bring these out a little bit.
seen some that have the one side flap like that. I've also seen them have a channel cut here. In fact, I'm looking at that right now. I'm not going to do it. I've seen others with a channel cut here. Obviously, a lot of mags have dots cut out, holes cut out down the line, so that when the last hole is showing a bullet, you know you've filled the mag. I've seen them back here most often. And they'll have, you know, 3 dots, and it'll say, okay, here's 4, and as long as you can see the back of a bullet in that hole, you know you got 4 rounds in the mag. If you see one in here, you're not exactly sure if you have 6. You know, you could have 6 bullets, unless it's got a hole for every, you know, for 10 or 11 or however many it holds. The one I have here holds 15. Should be pretty good, and I can just texture that manually with the unwrap and everything like that. So let me unhide all. Just gonna hide that because I don't need it. And Control A, make them all black, and then apply that material. And now I'm actually pretty close to done, folks. However, I could pop this stuff out. Okay, for these, and then just texture them rigid a little bit. I'll just keep it like that, and then I can go as far down as looks like here. Just pick this stuff manually. Make sure nothing else got picked by just dragging an alt box around it. And then I messed up here. Extrude that the same amount. And scale it. I am constrained by edge. Okay. I'm going to let those edges be unsmoothed for now. I have to redo my smoothing groups anyway. It does look like this is a little longer. So let me just grab all this detail here and get rid of everything I got on the other side. And I'm going to use my front view. Real quick, I'm going to hide this. Keeps my selection. Get rid of these. Show my edges. Okay, so I just got this guy. I don't need that one, so I'm going to keep that in place. I want to pretty much shoot this over to about right there or so. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my scale tool, which if it's going from center, I have to scale, not with edge, scale, and then move it over, which works. Or I could tell it to use my view center, and I could line up that point there. Oops, I was on the move tool when I did that. I use my view center, and I can just scale it over that way. That widens that some. And I'm going to congratulate everybody that got through it to this point, because you officially have yourself a Glock. That does not look too bad at all. The right side of the gun, I might be able to do away with some of this, but I'm still well below my budget. You can see I've got a mag with a bullet in there. Should actually be probably be taller to about there, because when the slide goes back it's got something under there that kicks up. Oh, I'm not done. Once again, I forgot this channel, so let's just fix that, and then we are officially done. I'm going to call it, and we will unwrap it, rig it, animate it, export it, marvel at it, and then Paul will code it. So I need 4, like I had last time. Okay, I also need a guide here. And I don't want that to be 4, I want that to be 1. And the same up here, I need a guide. Okay. And then, actually let me do the guide first. I think it's gonna come in handier. Just believe what I did last time. Actually, I have a guide there. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go I'm actually going to get rid of that guide. A little bit of indecision, it's alright. Get rid of all this. And I'm just going to go to the bottom instead. I can't make up my mind. Let me look at the slide. Yeah, I do need a guide. I can't use this line, so my channel will go too far. So, okay. When in doubt, look. And I need it to be actually at that height, which I want to be on center here. Copy that height. Connect that and then paste that there. Seems awfully high. We'll see what we're looking at when we actually go and complete this. Okay, now we can cut 4 segments. A 4. Get rid of these. Delete and these. Let's make sure. Yeah, because these are the ones we want to stay up. Okay. And then now we can grab these guys. Extrude. Just go by 0 and hit OK. Then we can move it down. And then remember to get rid of these doodads. Okay. And then we get our channel again here. And use our handy snap. Really quick, I just want to see if this is actually planar in the Z. It wasn't, so let's get this whole top surface here. Go ahead and make that planar in the Z. That way they're the same distance. Okay, now we can get our channel. See if we grabbed anything extra. I clicked one time, I didn't see anything pop up. Looks like we're okay. Zoom in right there, and S for snap. Right click, make sure we're on verts. And we just pop that into place. Which is weird. So this is what I'm going to do. Cheat a little bit. Hit J. I don't want to be on snap anymore. Just going to hit 1, freeform optimize, and I'm going to weld these two so that they're connected. And then I'm going to grab this whole channel again and just make it planar in the Z. Then I'm going to unhide all. And I'm going to move it down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the verts going across the top of this guy. Which I ended up getting all kinds of other stuff. And I ended up with this, which I don't want. Just the verts on the top. Okay. These are so close that I ended up picking them up by accident. And now I can take these bad boys and scale them up. Now, look at my left view. Excuse me. I want to kind of match inside here. Now I need to see what's running down this line. Really, I can just take these faces and shift them out a little bit. Let's just see if we broke anything. The only error that I've just introduced, aside from this, here's face here's actually screwed up. So let me fix that just by, sometimes it's just easier to delete it and then cap it. And then I can clean up my edges like that. Could also clean up like that if I wanted, but I'm not going to do that yet. The only actual error that I end up with is that this point and this point are no longer in line. However, that's like way in there, and you just don't see it. Okay, the little differences, minor mishaps and things that are going on in there are actually kind of supporting. It's a little bit of interest to draw your eye in there just to see that there isn't, it's not just totally flat. And we're good back here. You can see it interlocks, and it's not 100% totally perfect, which is okay. You can see we're a little what I can actually do is take these verts that are running down this whole bad boy here, minus those, including all of this. Let me hide unselected real quick. I don't want that, and I don't want that, which means I don't want that either, or that. Let's check the back, let's see if I got any of these ones going down here, and getting all the bottom verts, minus, again, this channel that I don't want to affect. Basically getting the whole bottom of the slide, and I'm going to move it down some. However, I can't go too far because of this space here. So if I unhide all, and I move it down just a little, I actually tighten my gap here, and the only error I'm left with is here, where these guys are now. Let me go by edge here. Those are poking. So just bring that to like that. Let me take these guys and bring that down. Voila, that's a Glock. So it took a while to get us here, however. We're matching something very specific. Taking time to explain takes a little time away from just doing. You know, I think this is roughly 8 hours or so for me to just blaze through this as fast as I could without stopping to explain anything and just clicking through everything. I did things, you know, slow in a way to make sure that they didn't get missed and things like that. Any experienced modeler could probably get through this in 3 to 4 hours, maybe 1 to 2 if you are hyper fast at it. I would expect for me it's anywhere between 2 and 4 hours to complete this under normal circumstances without actually trying to explain everything that I'm doing. So it's not too bad in terms of time investment. No matter what, you have to spend the time to do these things. So, and I think our result is it's not too bad. It's not too shabby. I'm gonna say it looks pretty much like a Glock. Really, the only place I've neglected to do anything to it would be this trigger. To be honest with you, it really doesn't even look all that bad. I may or may not clean it up a little bit here and there, but it's not really worth me taking off all the more of your time and my time to do this. So what I'm going to do is unwrap this, and I don't know if it's worth me showing you, considering I use a different application than Max. I use the Unfold 3D, so I'll probably go ahead and just show you, but I won't be exactly worrying about doing it tutorial wise. I might just ramble on about something random while I'm showing what I do. But it's, again, like I showed on the low res guy, it's just basically point to point picking to set your seams, and then you let its own algorithm do its magic, in which it's roughly the same algorithm that Max has with Pelt and or Peel, and Peel is a more advanced version of Pelt. It does get you a much better result, but it's still, you know, not perfect in any way. None of them truly are. You always have to help them. So next video I'm going to unwrap this, and I may take the time to also show making it low res from this version instead of sticking with that old low res gun that we started with. That way I keep my unwrap. So I'm going to stop this and encode, and I will be back.